Hello and welcome to the I Can Do podcast with Benjamin Lee. We're here to talk about tips and strategies to have an I Can Do mindset. Life is what you put into it. Get the most you can. Here's your host, Benjamin Lee.
Hello and welcome to another episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. It is Friday, the weekend is near, and I'm sure you probably have a great weekend in store. This has been a pretty relaxing week for me. You know, at this time of the year, things are beginning to slow down a little bit, but I guess we can also say things are beginning to really speed up a little bit. Where there's going to be the holiday season. It's crazy. There's people that already have Christmas lights up. Walmart already has Black Friday parking spots and deals and sales. We haven't even had the turkey yet. The turkey's not even thawed out. And so things are moving really, really fast. This episode will be really important for you this month, next month, and really every day of your life. So the title of this episode is called How to Say No to Yourself. It is so fascinating when you go on Amazon. I recently just typed in that title, How to Say No, on Google. And there are so many books that are out there. There are so many YouTube videos, How to Say No. All of those seem to be really good. I looked at a couple of them, and there is The Art of Saying No. I keep going back to the book by Greg McKeown, Essentialism. I really enjoy that book. He's got a great podcast, by the way. If you're looking for a new podcast, check that out. He has a whole chapter, I believe, on saying no. There's a lot of benefits of saying no, right? To certain things, people, events. For example, when I just looked it up on Google, somebody said this, that, when you say no, you will have more energy. That's true. More confidence, being able to say no and not always going down this people-pleasing path. You will have more respect. I really think that's an important point that a lot of people don't really consider, that when you actually say no, even if it's something that's good or positive, a great opportunity, people often respect that. They understand that you have parameters, that you have perspective, that you have a schedule, that you understand the idea of commitment. And so you will often get more respect. You also will have more fun. If we say yes to everything, more often or not, there is typically some kind of resentment. So there are a lot of benefits of saying no. And there's different ways too. I was just looking this up. Here are some suggestions on how to say no. Well, I'm honored, but I can't do that. I wish there were two of me. I'm sorry, but I'm booked. Sadly, I have something else. It sounds very lovely, but I will have to decline. I remember one from the Tim Ferriss podcast. I can't remember who he had on, but it was even shorter than all of those. Thanks, but no. And I really like that. And if you really want to be as concise and clear, you can just say no. How to say no. There's so many options that are out there. But you know what? What I thought about was, how do we say no to ourselves? We have all of these tactics for other people, but what about saying no to things that we may want to do? Have you ever struggled with that? Saying no to yourself? I think about I think about the idea of denying self, saying no. Jesus talked about taking up our cross and following him. How do we say no to ourselves? Do you ever say no to yourself? I wonder if there is some benefit, I think there really is, think about all these benefits that people talk about when we say no to other things and to other people, more energy and confidence and respect and fun. But what if we said that to ourselves? What if we said to ourselves, how we get in those moments, especially now with the holidays in November and December, everybody's cooking, everybody's eating, snacking is increasing. And we say, you know what? I'm going to go to the work. I'm not going to work out today. I'll go tomorrow. Well, that's a great time to tell ourselves, no, thank you. I am going to go work out. Now, that may sound a little bit crazy, but maybe we should start talking to ourselves like that more. Look, if we say no to individuals because we want to have more energy, there are times where we will have to say no to ourselves. You can say no to yourself. Think about the morning time when you're tempted to hit the snooze button. It's warm and the blankets feel great. It's dark outside. It's going to be dark for a really long time. And it's very easy to say, I'm just going to sleep in. Well, that's a great opportunity for you to say no. Ben, thank you, but no. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to get up because this is a commitment I made to myself. This is what I'm going to do. So all the benefits of saying no to other people, energy, confidence, respect, RESPECT, fun. Well, don't we need the same thing for ourselves? You know, we need to be able to prove to ourselves that we will keep a commitment that we said or something that we have established. When we continue to break our commitments to ourselves, that is setting ourselves up for sabotage. That is setting ourselves up for ultimately defeat. We can't keep telling ourselves, I will start tomorrow. I will start next week. I will start next month. I'm going to do this. And then we never do it. It's time for us to start saying no to ourselves, or to that part of ourselves that is saying, you don't need to do this. That part of ourselves that creates what's called upper limits. I just read a book called The Big Leap, and the author talked about this idea of upper limits. When things are going really well, we can almost sabotage ourselves if not careful. We can get sick. We can tell ourselves, I don't really deserve this. We can tell ourselves, no, maybe this isn't worth it. And instead of growing and getting to that next level, we say no. Well, that's not good enough. At least it's not good enough for me. Is that good enough for you? Why do we want to say no to ourselves? Now, there are times where we need to really say no to ourselves, but many times we don't do that. When it comes to doing the will of God, we need to listen to God and not ourselves. How to say no to ourselves. We need to dive into this a little bit more. We're going to talk a little bit more about this in just a moment. Today's show is sponsored by the Still Waters Counseling with Julie Adams. You need a counselor with life experience who cares for you. That person is certainly Julie Adams. Sometimes it helps to talk, to unload hurts with those who listen with empathy while sharing the same biblical moral frame of reference. It also helps to receive constructive suggestions that move toward solutions in a more positive journey. Life is hard, and some days it gets harder. You do not have to go on this journey alone. If you're in need, please reach out to Julie Adams with the Still Waters. That is STILL waterslife.com. stillwaterslife.com to set up an appointment. All right, I want to give you some questions to think about, thinking about this idea of saying no to yourself. We are going to have to do this, and sometimes it can be hard. Sometimes we may not like it, but the more we do it, the better off I think things will be, especially if we're saying no to the right things. Remember, this idea of saying no to other people, many people say, well, when you do that, When you understand that there is this thing of the fear of missing out, FOMO, that you can't do everything, that you're not going to be able to be at every single event, you will have more energy and confidence and respect and fun, but we also have to begin with ourselves. And the more I think about this, I'm wondering now if we have a hard time saying no to other people because we really don't know how to say no to ourselves in certain moments. So I want you to think about some questions, okay? If you have a sheet of paper or a pencil, you can write these down. I think the first thing is really identifying in what area is it hardest for you to say no to yourself. In what area is it hardest to say no to yourself? So, for example, is it with nutrition? Is it challenging for you to say no when you are driving? Maybe you're driving home after a long day and you're passing Sonic or Chipotle or McDonald's or some other fast food restaurant, and you are in a dilemma where you're saying, I know I should not be eating this, but then before you know it, you're in the drive-thru and you're paying $10.59 and they're telling you to drive around. Is that the area in which it's challenging for you to say no? Or maybe it's fitness. Maybe it's getting up and getting to the gym. Maybe it's putting on your workout clothes, getting in the car, and driving when it's dark in the morning. I want you just to think about this for a moment. What area might be the hardest area for you at this moment? I think if you can focus on one area, then you can build from there in other areas of your life. Maybe it's even with finances, where especially this time of year, it's hard to say no to yourself, especially when you're walking in Walmart or if you're on Amazon, because there are so many things that are for sale. So identify in what area is it most challenging for you to say no. And another question to think about is, when do you find yourself saying yes when it should be no? All right, so there's a second question. When do you find yourself saying yes when you should be saying no? So what I mean by that is, are you saying yes when you're really tired? Are you saying yes when you're really hungry? Are you saying yes when you're really frustrated? Identifying these things and these types of situations will help you to win when you need to say, you know what, no, but thank you. And then a third question to think about and to ask yourself is, how are you saying no? It's interesting that all the YouTube videos, the books and things like that, when they talk about this art of saying no, it's typically in a very respectful way. Thanks, but no. I'm honored, but I can't. That sounds really great, but I'm going to have to decline at the moment. I wonder, how do we talk to ourselves? Are we harsh and rude when we say no, or when we say, you know what, that's not a path I can go on? I think sometimes that can make all the difference. The way that we even consider these opportunities or how we look at ourselves or view ourselves, I think that can make a huge difference. So I want you to think about that. How to say no to yourself. There will be times where we will have to say, okay, there's an idea that floated through my mind, but no, I can't do that right now. Or maybe, you know what, I just can't do that at all. I can't go down that path. I won't go down that path because I'm following Jesus, because I've made a commitment to someone else, because I made a commitment to myself. What area do you need to start saying no in more to yourself? Is it the project you've been working on for 5 years and you keep procrastinating? Maybe you tell yourself, you know what? I've said no long enough. I want to start saying yes so I can get this done. Is it with your fitness and your health, where You're getting some blood tests back, and the doctors keep saying, this is something you got to really consider and address. Maybe you've been saying no for a long time to taking care of yourself. Well, why don't you say yes? I'm going to make some changes. And yes, I'm going to do what I know I should do. Ask yourself some questions. Questions are always going to be your friend. In what area right now is it hardest for you to say no to yourself? Figure out why that is. When do you find yourself saying yes when you should be saying no? Whatever that situation is, well, that's where you need to make some modifications. Maybe it's more sleep. Maybe it's better planning so you're not hungry at 5 o'clock while you're driving home and you want to stop off and get a donut at Quick Trip. That's what I do, okay? Quick Trip has some really great donuts, by the way. Maybe it's the way that you're saying no, where you beat yourself up. You're putting yourself in a position where you're just forget it. Find out and then make the necessary changes. Say no. How to say no to yourself. We all need to do it at some point in time in certain areas of our lives. And then let's say yes. Yes, let's say yes. And let's be the kind of people that we ought to be. That will make all the difference. Then we will have even more energy, confidence, respect, and fun. Once again, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode. If you are in the need or are looking for more motivation in your life, feel free to check out my website, benjaminlee.blog, where you can find hundreds of encouraging, motivational blog posts on a variety of subjects. You can find all of my books, which can also be found on Amazon.com, and other podcast interviews with a variety of people. I hope this helps. Please leave me a rating and a review. I can do, and so can you. Take care, and God bless.